Breaking news, Hurricane Melissa is now a dangerous Category 5 storm with winds at 160 miles an hour, and it's expected to make a direct strike on Jamaica in just a couple of hours. The streets of Jamaica empty this morning as the island braces for what may be the most powerful storm in its history. Officials are now warning, do not venture out of your safe shelter. CNN meteorologist Chris Warren is tracking Melissa's path. This is a huge storm, but I think one of your biggest concerns is that while the wind speeds are high, it is moving slowly. Give us some sense of what that means.
There's so much going on with this. Yes, there is the wind, which will bring catastrophic damage, but the slow movement of this, the wind's part of that. You don't want 160-mile-an-hour winds blowing hours on end, but also it's the rainfall. So we look at this, and there's a lot to see just with this. That well-formed eye right there, the more symmetrical these storms are, the more dangerous they tend to be. It means they're more organized, they're better organized. So you can think of all of this purple as being very, very heavy rain, tropical rain, and that slow movement means it's going to be several hours of rain. But to the wind, we can look at these numbers, Category 5, Category 4, Category 3, so a major hurricane, 3 and above. And you can think of these numbers as words. 5, catastrophic damage. 5, catastrophic damage. This whole time, the slow movement of this, it's going to be raining very, very hard. 4, still catastrophic damage. 3, devastating. That's the word associated with 3. And then 2, extremely dangerous. This is serious business here for Jamaica. Slow moving storm means rain and rain and rain, hours and hours and hours of rain. And you see the mountain here, the mountains in Jamaica up several thousand feet help get more moisture out of what is already a juiced up environment. And then not until late on Tuesday. So it's raining now in Jamaica. It's going to get even heavier closer to landfall and will continue to rain overnight tonight and into tomorrow. The catastrophe, not just with winds, but the rain, the flooding, the landslides. And on top of all of that, the storm, this strong, Sarah, pushing a lot of seawater into the island as well, up in some cases around 10 feet above normal high tide.
Yeah, and we know that it's usually not the wind that is the most deadly, but water. Chris Warren, thank you so much for that update. Joining me now is Jamaica's Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change, Matthew Samuda. Thank you so much for being here this morning while you're in, the way of danger. What are the conditions that you've been experiencing now where you are?
Well, good morning, Sarah, and good morning to your viewers. We've started to experience some rain squalls and some tropical storm force wind gusts, certainly in Kingston and St. Andrew, but not sustained winds just yet. The eye of the storm is currently 104 miles just south of Treasure Beach to the southwest of the island. So we are starting to see some storm-like conditions. We've been experiencing a lot of rain over the past few days, and we expect that to intensify rapidly throughout the course of the day. It's a really dangerous storm.
Yeah, we're hearing from meteorologists that there could be up to 40 inches of rain that pounds Jamaica because the storm, while the winds are kicking up so fast, the storm is actually moving slowly. What is your gravest concern? What is it that you are telling residents?
So we're telling them to prepare, and in some low-lying flood-prone areas, we have issued evacuation orders because the storm surge is also particularly dangerous. So it's a very dangerous storm because you have a very high storm surge, a lot of rain, very slow forward movement, and 160-mile-an-hour winds. Now that speaks to catastrophe if it does indeed make landfall. Now we are monitoring it very closely. We have opened up over 800 shelters right across the length and breadth of the country. Our national bus service is supporting the Jamaica Defense Force and the ODPEM, or disaster preparedness unit, in mobilizing these evacuations and getting people into shelters as best as possible. We're supporting our hospitals as well for emergency response.
Minister, perhaps the worst hurricane to ever hit Jamaica was a Category 4 storm in the 80s. This one is now a Category 5. So many people, there were more than 40 people died in that storm in '88. There were thousands of people who lost their homes. Do you feel that Jamaica is better prepared than in the 80s, even though this is a bigger storm?
So we are better prepared even than last year, where we had felt the impacts of Hurricane Beryl. We're certainly better prepared than we would have been in the 80s. We have much stronger housing stock. Our infrastructure is vastly improved from the 1980s, so our electricity grid is far more resilient. But when you speak about 160-mile-an-hour winds, we've never tested our new infrastructure in that regard, and we have 70% of our population living within 5 kilometers of the coast. Now, when you're speaking about waves 17 feet high, storm surge that will come inland, you're speaking about massive flooding, 30 inches, 40 inches of rain simultaneously. There isn't infrastructure that's built, I think, anywhere in the world to navigate that sort of risk. So we do expect that if it does come on shore, we will be facing significant damage,
Are people
similar to what we
heeding
have gone through in Gilbert.
are people heeding the warnings so far as you can tell?
I haven't gotten reports of any mass rejection of warnings. There'll always be persons who choose to ride out the storm in their home in the hope of protecting their property. But our words to them would be, heed the warnings. This is very serious. It's a devastating storm. Go to the shelters, go to higher ground, because this can take lives. And we are reaching out to all citizens. We're also asking members of the diaspora who have family members who are, rejecting the sort of evacuation orders to speak to their family members and encourage them to follow the guidance.
Yeah, it's a good way to try to get that personal touch to warn them of this extreme danger. Thank you, Minister. We'll be checking in with you throughout this. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to speak to us about this. Appreciate it.